Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jnananandamayam Deva Nirmaspritapam Matra Sarva Vidyanam Hai Divam Upasmahe Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tir Smarana Hai Vigna Vinashana Naya Shayana Nijavanchita Purana. So, okay, discussing here the qualification of Brahmanas, and Srila Prabhupada is describing here along the way the fall down of the Brahminical class in the course of time. So specifically mentioned here, the Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skins, seats, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. So charity is meant to be given to Brahmanas. Why? Because Brahmanas, as mentioned here, are the top classes of society. And it is known that if you give charity to a Brahmana, he will not exploit that charity. Just like if you give charity to a Shudra, you know, just like in modern age we have, what is this? We get, in the COVID they were giving handouts. What is that called?
Well,
stimulus checks, right? Stimulus checks. Because the society is made up of Shudras, what was the situation when they were given a donation, you could say? They were given charity. What was the situation? Sorry?
They enjoyed basically using their funds.
Yeah, they enjoyed, and we saw practically here in Atlanta that people stopped working. They stopped working, stopped performing their work, forget it. I'm just going to get my stimulus check and enjoy life. So that is the nature of Shudras. That they're completely dependent on getting some sort of money. And if they get the money, then they don't care about their work. They have no regard for their work. Actually lower than Shudras. Generally Shudras have some level of servitude, attitude towards their masters. So one who is not qualified to receive charity, that charity is known to be in the mode of ignorance. But this charity here being mentioned is in the mode of goodness to the Brahmanas. Why? Because Brahmanas, they live their whole life for the welfare of others. Even though so many things are being given to the Brahmanas right now, somebody could say, well, what a nice position to be in. You know, you get all of these things. You get gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skins, seats, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, sufficient land. There's pretty much everything a Shudra desires. Or those who are, in that tendency for enjoyment. Everybody wants gold coins, good bedding, clothing, animal skin, whatever, animal skin seats, leather seats, right? That's like if you buy a car, leather seats it's like the opulence of thing. If you have leather seats, then you know, okay, this guy has a lot of money. Horses, elephants, girls, sufficient land. These are everything that any person would desire. Any person of this world who is that of materialistic enjoyment, who wants enjoyment in this world, they would desire these things, and people are after these things. But a Brahmana, he doesn't give any actually great significance. He lives very simply. Even though he may get, actually a qualification of Brahmana is that he also gives away in charity. He may be given so much, but he may also just give it away. Just like we have Vedanta Deshika in his history, in his pastimes. When he receives gold, even though he doesn't want it, they hide it into the rice and send it to his house. When he finds this gold, he tells his wife, immediately throw this away. Why? Because he will invite so many thieves to the house. Just like Sanatana Goswami, who was running away and he had a servant that was with him, and then he was hiding the money, and Sanatana Goswami told him, okay, you take it, you just go, forget it. You're going to have rogues and thieves coming after us. And I think they got caught at one point by this one particular personality, right? Yeah, and they got in trouble because of this gold. So a Brahmana, he is not attached to material wealth. His life, he only takes what he needs in order to provide proper knowledge to the society, in order to not just give knowledge, but also set an example to the society of how to approach Brahman, how to approach Krishna, how to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmana is meant to be exemplary of that, and is also meant to teach others that. Therefore, they have to have the qualification of sama, dhamma, tapas, saucham, shantir, arjam, evacha. And then, how does it go? And then, forget the second line here. Jnana vijnanam ashtakyam brahma karma svabhavajam. So therefore they must possess these qualities. They must be controlling the mind, controlling the senses, austere, peaceful, they must be detached. All of these things are a qualification of Brahmana. Why? Because one who doesn't have these qualities, there is no question of one performing proper welfare for others. Otherwise, if he is not controlling the mind, he's not controlled, he's not self-satisfied, then what will he do? He'll look for satisfaction in these things. In money, in wealth, in land, in girls. But a Brahmana, you'll see naturally Brahmanas they voluntarily take the position of poverty. So qualification of a Brahmana also. He voluntarily takes poverty. He has nothing for himself. He doesn't plan for his future. He doesn't plan, okay, I have to save this much money for the future. Why? Because he's completely convinced that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will completely take care of him. Whether Krishna looks after him or doesn't, he doesn't care. He does his duty. That is the platform of a Brahmana. He simply performs his duty without consideration whether he will benefit or he may not benefit. Because he's controlling his mind. He understands the tapo divyam, that he understands this life is meant for austerity. He's come to that platform of realization that yes, things are going to be tough, but the essence of everything is that Krishna consciousness. That is the essence of everything, not these external things. So one who doesn't understand such a thing, one who doesn't understand what is the position of a Brahmana, he becomes a paid servant. As Srila Prabhupada says here, the Brahmanas were not giving their services as paid servants, but the society provided for them with all necessities. A Brahmana cannot be a paid servant. Why? Because Brahmana means one who speaks the truth. He's truthful. That is one of the qualities of a Brahmana, as mentioned here. This specifically, that he's saucham, he's pure. So he's truthful. He's pure in his actions, he's pure in his words, he's pure. So a Brahmana is by nature truthful and he must speak what Shastra teaches. But if you are getting paid, if somebody is paying you money, then you're expected to please them to some extent. Just like, if you work for a boss and you don't please the boss, he's not going to pay you anymore. Now, this is like we have these Bhagavad Saptas also. If you go to the Bhagavad Saptas and speak the Krishna conscious philosophy strongly, then most likely people won't come, and then you won't get paid, and then you won't be able to maintain your livelihood. That's how generally that person who's a Duja Bandhu, he thinks like this. That my speaking, I must speak in a nice way. I must speak in a very nice way for the pleasure of the ears of others. In this way, he degrades himself, but one who's a real Brahmana, he doesn't care about such things. He speaks the truth as it is. He speaks without consideration, any material consideration. Whether they listen or they don't listen, I must speak the truth, and he holds himself to that. He doesn't deviate from the truth. As we see our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada came, and he knew, these Westerners are not going to listen to what I'm going to say. He knew that, and he says that. And he says, well, they're probably not going to, I don't know, I'm just following the orders of my spiritual master. I don't actually know. I don't think they'll actually take it up. How are they going to take that up? But it's not that he came and he changed the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and make it sound so nice and all like, whatever, flowery. But he spoke exactly what is written in Shastra. He gave them what they needed. He didn't deviate from the principle of Shastra. So then it had proper effect. You may not get so many followers, and a Brahmin is not after that. But he completely depends on Krishna to provide him. He doesn't see that, this person is paying him, or this person is giving him donations, so therefore he's indebted to that person. He sees that, oh, this is Krishna is providing because I'm doing my duty. So a Brahmana, he cannot be paid because by payment, he may dilute the truth. By accepting payment, or by looking or setting a certain payment in order to teach or such and such, he may dilute the truth. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada never recommended that those who are preachers of the Lord, one should not preach for the sake of getting money. One should not do kirtan for the sake of getting money. So it's important to understand this principle that when one takes up devotional service or performs devotional service, it is not done for any sort of fruitive actions. It is not done for any sort of material gain. Jnana karmadya anavritam. No material, no jnana or karma. Is there something going on I need to know about?
The sound is unclear.
The sound is unclear. Okay, sorry. Okay, so it is important that a Brahmana understands his principles. That he lives completely in dependence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He imbibes the mood of surrender, the 6 symptoms of surrender, the 6 processes of surrender that Bhaktivinoda speaks about, that the the Nectar of Devotion speaks about, that Rupa Goswami mentions, that one must stick to these principles of surrender, that he accepts Krishna as one's protector, as one's maintainer, as one's friend, and he only does those things that are favorable for Krishna consciousness, rejects those things that are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. So he must display the symptoms of surrender, or the process of surrender. So he's never dependent on material society or materialists or anybody to maintain him. Everything comes as according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we have seen in our own lives. We're living as brahmacharis and maintaining such a place. None of us work a job, none of us get paid. But because there is a overall push towards surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and maintenance from Him, we have been maintained very nicely. We can see we have everything we need. There's in my Krishna consciousness, or in our Krishna consciousness, I've seen living in Krishna life for the last 5 years, there's never been any lacking of anything at all. Everything that we've ever required has been completely provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every day. Never had been a day where we didn't have to eat, never had been a day where we didn't have enough, well, maybe sometimes not enough vehicle to perform Sankirtan, but we've always had the facilities to serve the Lord. Because there is an overall understanding that one should serve without any material motive. So a Brahmana means one who adheres to these rules and regulations, that he accepts that position, if he is given that position, or if he is qualified for that position. One should become qualified, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. One should imbibe these qualities, and it should be seen in that person that is Brahminical, or meant to be a Brahmana, that the samadhama, tapas, saucham, shantir, arjamam, evacha, all of these things are seen in that person. Not that the person is accepted as a Brahmana on the platform of just having a thread on his shoulder. That is not what a Brahmana means. Now traditionally that's obviously become degraded, and as long as you have a thread on your shoulders, then you can look down upon the rest of the society. But actually a real Brahmana is one who imbibes the qualities of a Brahmana. Otherwise, it completely destroys Vedic culture, as we have seen it firsthand. That, to such an extent that people think that this Varnashram society is actually just a material concoction. It's actually just a caste system, which is looked down upon by pretty much every part of the world. If you come to America and you mention the caste system, they'll be like, oh, okay, that's like obviously a system in which there is suppression. In which, okay, a class of people get to be the high, and everybody else under them is, basically lowest in the society, especially the Shudras and vices, or exploited in society. This one doesn't have any other one. So, exploited in society. But, on this one. They're exploited in society. But Krishna makes it very clear that actually this is divine. How does that verse start? Chaturvarnya maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartarma apimam. I've set this, 4 orders of life. There's Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Put them into place. They are Daivi Varnashram. They're meant to be a way by which one attains enlightenment, spiritual realization. But because of the nature of this world, yoga nashta parantapa, because the nature to degrade, over time the Brahmanas have become lazy. Oh, okay, we're getting everything for free. Okay, we're Brahmanas, we have a thread on our shoulders. So forget it, no more need to actually go and work. No more need to go and actually be a Brahmana. My spiritual master says, Brahmana in the temple, and then, lower than a Shudra in the forest. Display one thing in front of the crowd in order to get your donations, but you actually don't have those qualities. Therefore, the whole society, when the heads of society don't become exemplary in their behavior, in their achar, vichar and prachar, in their activities, in their thoughts, in their speech, then it is not very inspiring for the rest of the society. And if the top classes of society are like this, then what to speak of the lower classes of society, like the Shudras and such. So Brahmana has to uphold his qualities and must have the qualities in order to actually be given that significance. You cannot just have their status by having a thread on your shoulders. It requires proper realization. The Brahmanas require proper realization. Jnanam vijnanam. Not just knowledge. So one must come to this platform of Brahminical standard. Not everybody may be Brahminical, but those who have been given this thread, we must endeavor to come to that platform. Now, we get given a thread, but I can say for myself, all of these qualities definitely do not have. But the idea is that, you can develop them by actually reading about them and understanding them, develop truthfulness, become more truthful, you should have some level of truthfulness actually, become more self-controlled, become more tolerant. You're meant to start to imbibe that quality. Not that we get given a thread and we don't have the qualities, but then we just stay on that platform or go lower. So sometimes we may also be given a thread as emergency is required sometimes. That we may be given a thread and we may not particularly have the qualification, but those characteristics may be there that we can actually develop. So we have to develop these qualities or imbibe those qualities by hearing and understanding what a real Brahmana is. And so by doing that, we can start to establish a proper Brahminical society. Generally the Brahmanas, their main activities is study and teaching. They're generally performing yajnas, cooking. All of these activities are there. So a Brahmana is meant to be learned in Shastra. He's meant to know what is what. He's meant to know what to do, what is to be done and what is not to be done, and he's meant to advise the society. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, our Krishna conscious society is meant to be Brahminical. Why? Because people are meant to come to the Krishna conscious society for advice. And all of the students or all of the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement should be well studied enough to be able to give proper advice. Not that somebody comes to us for psychological advice and then we teach him just psychology. No. We should understand basic principle that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all our problems can only be solved by surrendering unto Him. And Srila Prabhupada says this is perfect preaching. And that is what it means to be a Brahmana. To understand the ultimate goal of life, to understand Brahman, to understand Krishna. So that is the point, that is the real point of Brahmana. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has a 400-page book on why a Vaishnava is greater than a Brahmana. He wrote this at a very young age in order to destroy the caste, this Goswami caste. They were like looking down upon, even the Brahminical orders or classes were looking down upon the Vaishnavas at that point. Actually, the Vaishnava, like my spiritual master mentioned, if you are known as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, then that was meant to, if you call someone a Gaudiya Vaishnava, then that's offensive. Because so many horrible things were going on in the name of Gaudiya Vaishnava. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he destroyed this mentality that Vaishnavas are lower than Brahmanas, or that a Vaishnava can be lower than a Brahmana. That Vaishnava, because he has come to the platform of ultimate realization of what a Brahmana is aiming for, he is greater than a Brahmana. But even then we see within that there is devotees who have certain tendencies and natures that are more of a Brahminical nature. Actually, Nectar of Instruction says that one should not view a Vaishnava as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. We may have certain qualities like that, but ultimately a Vaishnava is not viewed like that. He's not viewed as this is a Shudra. He's viewed primarily as a Vaishnava, but he may possess those qualities that are not particularly Brahminical. And that is required in order to establish a proper society, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, that there has to be a society there, that quality of work rendered to society and is in terms of the caste system is a creation of the Lord and is arranged according to the quality of work rendered by the society. So everyone according to their work, they are qualified in different what would you say? He has different ashrams, varnas. So we may be qualified in different varnas according to the work that we can do, but it doesn't particularly mean that is our identification. Our identification is primarily as the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's greater than even the material designation of a Brahmana, because it is just a designation of this body so a Vaishnava is greater than a Brahmana. So the Vaishnavas or the Brahmanas, they should endeavor to come to this platform of remaining samadhamma tapasocham, becoming self-controlled, becoming pure. Because by acquiring these qualities, they actually help us become Krishna conscious. Actually, Krishna consciousness and Brahminical qualities, they go together. Srila Prabhupada said that as a standard, to be very clean, to be truthful. So it's not that it is independent, it's like, okay, I'm not a Brahmana, so I don't have to be clean. I'm not clean. Well, you have to be clean. Srila Prabhupada says his program is set up in such a way that it brings us to that standard of Brahminical standard. It's meant to. We should. And to the level that we can come up to that standard, to that level we can see our Krishna consciousness also advance. The more you clean you become in your behavior, in your thoughts, the more self-controlled you become in your eating, in your sleeping, in your speech. The more we imbibe these qualities of Brahmanas or Brahminical qualities, the more Krishna conscious it helps us become. And the more Krishna conscious we become, the more these qualities, it helps us imbibe these qualities. Actually, ultimately, it's mentioned that from being Krishna conscious, all those qualities come. That's obviously the center of everything, because without Krishna consciousness, you would not be able to practice the four regulative principles even. That is at the center of everything. But still, we have to endeavor to imbibe those qualities and not become laxed, just like the Brahmanas became laxed. Okay, I'm now in the association of devotees. Now I'm a Vaishnava, if you think ourselves to be Vaishnavas. Now I don't have to imbibe these qualities. As long as I'm a Vaishnava, I'm greater than a Brahmana, so forget about samadhamma, tapasocham, forget about all these things. Some devotees will say like that. Why? Why do you need to imbibe the culture? Why do you need to do all these things? Forget it. Cleanliness, this, that. No, that's all external. They'll say like that. But you'll see Prabhupada would say that you don't clean your room one day, you're living like a pig. So it is required for us to imbibe these qualities. It's required for us. Otherwise, it degrades. You'll notice my spiritual master says, you can judge the quality, I've heard it like that you can judge the quality of the devotees by how clean the things are in the temple. How clean the temple is, and then you can also judge the quality of the devotees in the temple. So it is important to uphold those principles, otherwise things become degraded, and then we end up in a situation in which our movement is in now, of just forgetting the real goal of life. As Srila Prabhupada said it, distribute books, chant Hare Krishna, become pure. Don't watch movies, don't eat karmic grains. All of these things are being neglected in our society now. Why? Because the principles of Brahmanical standards are not being maintained. The Brahmanas is not Brahmanas, even within the society of Krishna consciousness. The Brahmanas don't live ideally. And then this truth becomes, the Brahmanas with a thread will say, yeah, you can go to the movies. The person with a thread on their shoulders will come to the temple and take the brahmacharis to the movies. And take him out to eat at a restaurant in the West. I don't know what happens in India, but I've seen this practically. And then the brahmacharis also got a thread on his shoulders. And then these are the devotees that people who come into the society are meant to look up to. Where is our society headed? If the Brahmanical standards are not upkept. Why is it being degraded? Because it's not given importance. Oh yeah, as I'm a devotee. Okay, that's the main thing. I don't have to do it. Everything else is external. But you can see they can't recognize that it's actually degrading the whole society. And then when you do that, then it becomes a society of sense gratification. Everything is an excuse for sense gratification, but then we say, but I'm Krishna conscious internally. So this is going on, as Srila Prabhupada says here, that when the Brahmanas caste generally became easygoing, being fed by the society, although they had no Brahmanical qualification, they degraded themselves into Brahma Bandhus or disqualified Brahmanas. And thus other members of society also gradually fell down from the social standard of progressive life. This applies so closely to our Krishna consciousness movement. It applies so closely. It's like, anybody that's lived in Krishna conscious society for more than 5 years, we've heard pretty weird stuff. And so it's an easygoing life. Now you don't have to go out anymore on book distribution. The temple is not maintained by book distribution, but it's maintained by Indians that just come to the temple and they'll give you donations. Then you don't have to go out. Then you don't have to go out on Sankirtan. Then you don't have to go out and work hard. And then as you see in any temple you go, the brahmacharis, what are they doing? Sleeping, eating, worship the deity a little bit, that is all. That's all. Again, it's so many different temples I've been to, it's like that. It seems like I'm criticizing, but I'm just saying as it is. That's what it is, and then nobody can uphold that standard, so it's being degraded. It becomes an easygoing life. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men make bad times. Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he quotes this a good amount of times. And we can see that happening. And then what happens? If you don't need to go out and speak the message of Krishna consciousness, then you lose the message. You don't know what the message is. You don't have deep knowledge of the message. So then when people do come who are interested in Krishna consciousness, and we presenting ourselves in the books as the top classes, intelligent classes of society, you, Krishna consciousness, is presenting the solution to all of your problems in life. And they come and they say, okay, you're saying this in your books, what do you have to give? They come and then we have no philosophy to give. We can't defeat the philosophy. Prabhupada writes in the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam that if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, you should be able to defeat any philosophy and establish Krishna consciousness as a fact. But if we are not learned in the books, if we don't understand the books and we're not studying the books, or the Brahmanas within the society should be studying and giving that knowledge, then we won't be able to destroy anyone. destroy their philosophy. We won't be able to defeat their philosophy and establish Krishna consciousness. In fact, and I've seen that many times, as devotees don't know. Devotees don't know how to deal with someone challenging the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in such a way that they can establish, hey, look, we have it together. Often it's very sentimental. Just believe in Krishna, that's all. It's becoming like the church. So we lose the society. This is easygoing life. Easygoing life and Krishna consciousness do not go well together, and Srila Prabhupada has warned us against that. Therefore, temples are meant to be a place in which we are always pushing to become more Krishna conscious. We are looking to become more Krishna conscious. What does that mean? Going out on Sankirtan, having programs, pushing ourselves to, because when you go out on Sankirtan, especially if you're preaching, then people ask you questions and then you don't know the questions and you're like, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And then you should figure that out. Not that, oh, well, it's an easygoing life, let me just live it like this. No. We're endeavoring to become Krishna conscious. That means we have to realize the philosophy, understand it deeply from all angles of vision. And when you read Srila Prabhupada's books, that's why he keeps repeating what he does. Sometimes you're like, oh, Srila Prabhupada is just repeating the same thing again. But he's actually, in every purport, he takes it from a complete different angle of vision for us to realize this. And for us to be able to explain that to society. For us to be able to rack our brains in how to understand, how to help others understand this essence of life. So if we lose that, if we lose reading Srila Prabhupada's books, if we lose distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, then we lose everything. Because these books are the basis of our lives. We're made from these books. So we can't neglect that. We can't neglect the study of Shastra. We can't neglect the culture of the Brahminical culture as the highest standard of Vedic society, and which we should endeavor to function on. And that should be a constant thing in our lives, that to become more Brahminical in our activities, because it helps us endeavor in our Krishna consciousness. It's favorable for surrender. And that has to be led by those who are the Brahmanas of society. They should show by example, because by example they can inspire others to do the same thing also. Otherwise, if the so-called appointed heads of society are not truthful, are duplicitous, are not self-controlled at all, eat anything and everything, whether it's prasadam or karmi grains, they have no qualification or symptoms of what the Bhagavad Gita speaks about, and you're meant to be led by them, then either you won't be inspired, or either you'll not end up in the right place because you're following the wrong person. So the Brahmanas have to endeavor to come to this platform of living a life of austerity to a great extent. Won't get paid. You're not going to get paid to preach. We don't want that. You're not going to be rich. You're not going to have a lot of fame. You're not going to get a lot of followers. But what you will get by following the Brahminical standard of life is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is the mercy of the spiritual master. And that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Nothing else really matters. Even so many places Prabhupada writes, even the result. It's just like one should just go out and preach the absolute truth. One should speak it. Not caring so much for the result. That he just does his duty to the spiritual master. So many may not be attracted sometimes. That okay, you have to live a little bit austerely, you don't get paid, you don't have, you're not allowed to, you have to be self-controlled, such and such. But if we maintain the standard, those who actually are seeking the real essence of life, they will be attracted. And it only requires a few good men to change the whole world. That's what we're trying to do. It requires only a few good men. One moon, that's all that required. Not all of these others. What is these little bugs called that have the fireflies? One moon. They can light the whole world, no problem. One moon, that's all that's required. So we're not looking for some cheap thing. We're not preaching some cheap thing. We are preaching the highest standard of life, the topmost dharma of the living entity. And so there is only a few that will take it up. There's no doubt about that. Krishna tells us that in the Bhagavad Gita. We shouldn't be surprised that we don't have thousands of people in this room right now listening to Krishna consciousness, eager to take it up. It's not a surprise. It's expected that only a few will take it up. Because there's only a few who are really wanting the essence of life, who are willing to go through the difficulties to get that. So if we maintain that standard, then people will be inspired. People will see, oh, okay, this is what it's meant to be like. People will be able to get proper knowledge, not just by hearing about it, but by seeing it also, practically. So we must uphold the Brahminical standard of life. We must not become greedy. We must not become envious. We must have purity in our heart to endeavor to do that, so that we can go on and preach Krishna consciousness nicely. And by the process of chanting Hare Krishna, of course it does all these things, but we also have to have endeavor in those things. So we should endeavor, as Srila Prabhupada has taught us in these books, to establish this society of the four society that Krishna has implemented, that this Daivi Varnashram. One should endeavor to establish that for the benefit of the society. This was the vision of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, is a vision of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and is a vision of Srila Prabhupada. It's not just something that just Srila Prabhupada just said on the side. If you examine the acharyas, Parampara Jana Bhalo Mati, that one knows the Parampara nicely, then he can understand what is the desire of the Parampara. It is to establish this Brahminical class. And naturally when there is a head, there is a body, that the head has to have a body, so there is naturally Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, all of these things will be there. Because the Brahmanas will come together to establish that society. As we've seen, just like our own spiritual master, he established a few places in which that society can run like that there is some semblance of that coming. And we're also trying to establish that in the Western world. So, by doing that, it is the benefit of others, it's for the benefit of others. Oh, you can come here and take shelter of Krishna completely. You can live off the land. And that society functions on the level of Daivi Varnashram, not this caste system that the Brahmanas, it's not that the Brahmanas are looked up just because of their birth, or the Shudras are looked down upon just because of their birth. There's a proper system and knowledge that is established. So by doing this, it is a process of being able to maintain Krishna consciousness on the long term, so that yoga nashta parantapa doesn't take place. We see it already happening. But if there is this varnashram dharma, if there is a proper place, a society, then it can be maintained for long periods of time. Without that, it's just, we can see, we have seen us, it's not super, the maintenance or the long-term maintenance of the Krishna consciousness movement is shaky without the implement of Varnashram Dharma. As my spiritual master said here, it's like one hand clapping. It's not, there's no real, the effect is not there as you want it. You have books going out, but then where will people go? Where will people, how will they practically live their lives? We're living in a brahmacharya ashram, but then what's next? Do we have to work jobs to maintain ourselves? So it is required. So the Bhagavatam speaks about all of this, speaks about this culture of Brahmanas, the culture of Varnashram. As Narada Muni, there's a whole section of that. So we should read through this, understand these qualities, imbibe these qualities. It's not a separate endeavor, it comes with Krishna consciousness, but like I'm saying, it requires us to also cultivate that and notice that in our lives. So yeah, we should try to come to the platform of Brahminical standard. Push for that. Not everybody may be able to come to that point, but just like myself, like all these qualities are being described. Every time I read them, I'm like, damn, it's like I don't fall into any of these categories at all. But yes, this is the standard of Brahminical culture. So we should imbibe that and push it forward and establish a proper society. Okay, is there any questions or comments? Please feel free to ask, or anything you would like to say, whatever, if I've said anything wrong. Is there anything? We can start because we'd have to wait. Yeah.
I was wondering about Srila Prabhupada, and you also mentioned that one shall not be designated just by birth, but rather quality. But I noticed, like, I might understand wrong, but like there are parts in the scriptures where like elevated people seem to designate people, like Karna was raised by some fishermen. And so like Draupadi is like saying, well, in the Swayamvara that, you know, you're low-born, or like there are other instances also, I think.
There's a Shudra that perform austerities, and then I think Priyavrata, huh?
Ekalavya.
Ekalavya. But then Ekalavya went to kill him?
Oh, no,
I think that's,
he's a Shudra, but I think I'm thinking.
yeah, there's instances.
There was like that person who was trained, wanted to be trained by Dronacharya. That person.
Yeah.
And there was also like Haridas Thakur, and he was also like reasoning on the basis of I was born in a Muslim. So how can we like reconcile that, or
reconcile sometimes?
Like to understand, how to understand.
I'm getting a little confused. So how to understand how that's sometimes said in Shastra?
Like Srila Prabhupada said that it's like
It's by quality.
by quality.
Yeah.
But still, we see that sometimes, like elevated devotees, even they designate based on birth. So why is that, or how can we understand that?
Sometimes it's just done for pastime. I mean, it's done for pastime. That's just like you just mentioned Haridas Thakur. That's completely setting the example and the way for Krishna consciousness to, develop. Because we see now, I mean, like, Haridas Thakur was at least in India, born in India. We're born like, it's in the Western world, it's like lower than Malechas, it's like, and then Srila Prabhupada is granting thread onto those devotees who are born in the Western world, and he's getting criticized. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, they're pastimes in order to teach us by example. Like, Haridas Thakur, is considered a Muslim, so outside of, forget it, you associate the Muslim, or you're low, but then Advaita Acharya would give him the prasadam first. Is it Advaita Acharya? That first, amongst the assembly of Brahmanas, he would go to Haridas Thakur. Why? Because he's Namacharya. So in order to show by example how a devotee should take a humble position of knowing of like that sort of nature, accepts that, but he actually isn't. And the other assembly of Vaishnavas don't treat him like that. And it's a very important principle that is being taught. So because the devotee by nature is humble, he said, no, I'm not going to go, I can't go see Jagannath, and I'm not low-born. But Lord Chaitanya himself would come to see Haridas Thakur. Would say, the Supreme Personality of God personally is coming for Haridas Thakur. So then how can you say he's low-born? Then only the devotees can recognize that. So it's, for example, by pastime, to give us proper knowledge, and then actually it's bona fide in Shastra. It says in Narada Muni states that actually in emergency times, even the Shudra can take the position of a Brahmana. So as long as they have obviously the qualifications, even if they're able to give some Vedic knowledge. And then Srila Prabhupada comments in that, says, this is a Shastric inference. I have implicated this according to what Narada Muni said. I'm not doing anything independently. I'm being criticized, but actually this is in Shastra. They don't recognize. Actually, if you read through this Varnashram system of Narada Muni, or the society, the perfect society, Srila Prabhupada established pretty much everything that Narada Muni is speaking about within our morning program. Yeah, it's like, because a human being, Narada Muni mentioned, a human being is meant to do this many things, 26 different things. Glorify the Lord, speak about the Lord, such and such and such. And Srila Prabhupada just took all of those things and just put it in our morning program. And everything is like, when you read through Srimad Bhagavatam, you realize everything that is being done is Shastric, what we're doing now. Nothing is new. It's quite amazing. So yeah, it's to give pastimes are there to give, give us proper understanding, or give us lessons and such and such. Yeah.
So also in the instance of like Karna, also it's because of pastime.
Karna's pastime. Maybe somebody else can comment on that. I'm not sure. This is Prabhuji.
Just collecting thoughts.
Traditionally, when Brahmana perform all the sacrifices, all the rituals, super soul, Krishna, he understand that if somebody take a birth in that family, in Brahmana family, it means he's also like a Brahmana. Because they did everything properly. And traditionally, who take a birth in Brahmana family, they also became Brahmana. Because they have the proper birth, proper samskaras, and the proper education. And gradually, when they stopped to perform proper yagyas, like this they became Brahma Bandhu.
Yeah.
Because of Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara is one generation, second generation, third generation. Gradually, they became like Brahma Bandhu. And because of that, we can recognize them by qualities. And because of that, in Shastra it is mentioned it also. You can see the Ashwadhama, when he did this very cruel activity, and some people they told this is Brahma Bandhu. He is not like a Brahmana. He is not acting like a Brahmana.
Yeah.
But Draupadi told that this is Brahmana. No, this is the son of your spiritual master. How you can kill him? How you can treat him like Brahma Bandhu? And Prabhupada gave this commentaries like the women like they sentimental. They cannot recognize what. But pointed by qualities. Previously, yes, you can see the Karna also. If you take a birth in Shudra family, it's mean by destiny, by your previous activity, you take a birth and that in family. It means you are deserve this because all of them they perform properly their duties. But nowadays you can see because of degradation of Brahmana society, you can see also by qualities them. They're not like Brahmanas or Shudra can be or Brahmana. And you told this is in 7th canto, 14th chapter. Prabhupada told it. They criticized us that we are given initiation for Mlechkas and Yavanas. But now is emergency situation. Now is emergency, and some people they have some quality, and some little bit truthfulness, little bit pure, and we can like. Blow the spark, this became fire. Otherwise, what we do? This degradation. They're like, it's not like you cannot explain like Brahmana, like many Brahmanas now they take a birth and now gave some new way for spirituality. It's not like this. Now we have deal with 10th class of people.
Hare Krishna. In Karna's case, I feel like there was a lack of samskaras because although he was Kunti's son, but then he was raised by a fisherman and later he exhibited non-Kshatriya spirit, because he was the one who motivated Dushasan and he was in that part, isn't it? Because when Karna was killed, when he was at the verge of being killed. So that time he raised questions of dharma, isn't it? So like how come you're killing a person who is without weapons and all these things. That time Krishna raised 7 types of questions where he was part of adharma. So as a Kshatriya, he should have behaved like a Kshatriya. So although Draupadi said, when she said, wherever she said, so he didn't exhibit that qualities. So that's the way, means, as a Kshatriya, he should have protected a woman or he should have stopped. Like example, we see that Vikarna is the one who was respected for asking questions of dharma. So although he was with the Kauravas, so that's why, it's again the qualities that are exhibited. Like in the case, Prabhupada gives the example of Gautam Rishi, who was a prostitute's son. So he he went to his guru and he said that he wanted to be disciple, and then his guru said that, who is your father? And he went back to his mother, and there she said that I am a prostitute and
Yeah.
I don't know who is your father.
What's the name? Something Jabali. There's a pastime like that in one of the Vedas. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, I
forget
don't
the name.
remember exactly. But then he goes back to his guru and then he says that, my mother says that I don't know who is my father. And then his guru says that you are a Brahmana because he is truthful, although the truth was bitter for him. So it's again like according to qualities that a person is seen in Vedic, means varnashram ways, or like case of Vidur also you see.
This is Satyakama Jabali. This is a pastime that's there, I think, in the Upanishads. It's a boy who is born to also Shudrani. And then he goes to learn, but then they tell him, well, he can't be. And then he comes back and says, well, yeah, my father is this. And then the teacher says, oh, you're truthful. And then he accepts, and then he learns, and he becomes a great sage. So yeah, there's so many pastimes like that, where the qualities are given more significance also within the Shastra. So yeah. Anything else? No. Okay, Mataji's? Okay, alright. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.